Hey, everybody. Hey,
Hello.
how are
I'm
you?
well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining this live with us. Welcome everybody that's coming into the room. My name is Buki. I am the marketing director for Destiny African Market, and we are just so excited to have Best Body Africa here today. We have been big fans over the years, ever since Plantain Gate, which we'll get into in a moment. And so we're really happy to have you here today. Today we're going to be talking about demystifying African foods as unhealthy. You know, ever since Destiny opened back in November of 2021, something that we realized as customers would come in, they would, look around, they would leave. And, we started asking people, like, what's going on? Like, why did you, like, look around, read ingredients, and why did you leave? And, people were just like, it just doesn't seem like anything in here is healthy for me. And we found that so disturbing because we know that African foods, especially since 90% of our products come directly from the countries that we are promoting. So from Nigeria, from Liberia, from Ghana, we have, superfoods from Zimbabwe. We know that our food is actually healthy. And we want to kind of talk about that today. So I'll give the floor to you to introduce yourself, and then we have some questions that we'd love to get into.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much. And I'm a huge fan of yours as well. And I've been seeing what you guys have been doing for the community, really trying to spread the word about African foods as healthy. And so I really, really appreciate you being part of the cause. So I guess just to introduce myself, so my name is Bryanne Hackman, and I am a global health strategist. So I implement projects with international organizations on nutrition. But most importantly, and I guess the reason why you're here, is I am a certified nutrition coach with a specialization in African foods. And I'm the founder of Best Body Africa, which is a community of people that are trying to achieve their best body, whether it's their health or their weight management goals, while still enjoying delicious and nutritious foods from the African continent. And I mean, I guess the main target are, people on the continent, people within the diaspora, but also people who are looking to explore different flavors. And looking for nutritious foods to add to their diets. And of course, the African continent is home to many of the nutritious foods. And just to say, I'm from Ghana, and I'm currently living in the UK. So
Yes,
my
yes.
love and passion for Ghanaian food as well as wellness really like led me to start in this community and really nurture the community to embrace the transformational power of their foods, just for their health so that they can nourish and thrive. So yeah, that's me. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Of course, of course. We're gonna get right into these questions, y'all. We only have 25 minutes for this. We're keeping this short and sweet, and we hope to continue this series because we really want people to know that you don't have to give up your cultural foods to have a healthy lifestyle. In fact, you probably should stick with our diet because you'll probably be better off. And so, first things first, as I said before, we met you and discovered Best Body Africa through the Plantain Gate situation, which happened. I don't know if it happened in 2020 or 2021. Please tell our audience a little bit more about that, and we'd love to get into that discussion.
Sure, so absolutely. So yeah, that was probably one of our first viral moments, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So for context, so a lot of our community are mainly people from the African continent who, in the global health and wellness space, there's not enough data on the nutrition stats of our foods. So people don't know the calories, the protein, the carbs, the fats within our foods. And for fitness people like ourselves who, try to track our nutrients, it can be very, very difficult. And part of what we did back in the series then was to really share the nutritional properties of African foods, and one of them being plantain, which is our beloved, our favorite. We all love it. And so we shared that video and it got reposted by another influencer who she's actually been a huge fan of our page actually,
Yeah.
and follows our nutrition advice. And then it was twisted with a comedic angle, which brought a lot of attention to our page. And I think that's how a lot of people know Best Body Africa. And I think when they really step click beyond all the clickbait and the video and really go onto our page, they realize that, oh wow, the mission here is really to promote the goodness of African foods and to really provide the data and the nutrition stats to enable people to know what they're putting in their bodies so that they're better able to achieve their goals as a result. So that's a huge part of the video, and I guess a huge learning as well that in the internet your content could go everywhere.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
coming up
For
with a few
sure.
disclaimers before, but you never know. Anything can be taken to different sides of the internet. So, but yeah.
No, definitely. I think, I think comedic moments are oftentimes, especially as Africans, where how we learn and how we connect with one another. And I found that to be very interesting. And, I think that really opened our minds as well to the possibility of promoting African food, right? So if anybody is joining us or doesn't know me, I'm the marketing director at Destiny. And as a marketer, I have found it very difficult to promote our food, right? Because not only do people, the world, right, the Western world perceive our food as unhealthy, we too have adopted that idea, right? And so when we talk about fufu and yams and all these things, people kind of be like, oh, I can't eat that because I'm on a diet.
Mm.
And I'm like, come again? You can't eat agusi because you're on a diet? Like, explain that to me a little bit more. And so I would love, for our audience to hear a little bit about some of the myths that you have encountered as a nutrition coach, and how you've demystified them with research.
Yeah. So absolutely, the first myth is that African foods are unhealthy, which is a total lie. And I think it's very dangerous to put a blanket statement out like
Yeah.
that. And also to generalize African food as one, as there are many types of African
Right.
foods, many cultures. The Italian diet, the Mediterranean diet, is known as one of the healthiest diets in the world, if not number one. I think it shows up as number one on a lot of different ranks
Hmm.
when it comes to nutrition. However, someone could say, eating pasta is bad. So that means because people eat pasta, Italian food is unhealthy, but that's not true. There's so much diversity in that cuisine that, enables it to be recognized as a healthy food or healthy cuisine. And I think that's the same with African foods. I think a lot of African foods have been homogenized as one, or people only
Right.
think one dish when they think of African foods. Maybe they think of a big bowl of fufu with soup, or
Right. Right.
a big bowl of plantain and jollof, but there's so much more to it. So I think that really lies firstly in people not really knowing African foods, which is
Right.
why I like to as well, share some of the nutritional properties of different African foods, and some underrated African foods like baobab or moringa. And
Yes.
I think the second part of this, so there's the health aspect, but then there's also the weight management aspect. And as weight management is highly personal and it's individualized.
Mm-hmm.
So what one person will eat to lose weight or to gain weight, another person may not be able to. And so there's a lot of, really personalizing that our foods, to really show that they can contribute towards your weight management journey. And you don't necessarily have to eat the same, for example, portion as someone else. It's a highly personalized way of going about your nutrition. So there's a lot of learning there
Mm-hmm.
to really break down African foods and the nutritional properties and how we can actually eat them to contribute towards our weight management goals.
Yeah, no. So you talked a little bit about portions. What do you think is a good portion? So if anybody doesn't
Yeah.
know, make sure you go to Best Body Africa and grab their guides. Their guides are very, very helpful for anybody who really
Uh,
wants to know how to prepare some of the things that you get from Destiny, and how to kind of portion them out. But what would you say is a really good portion of food when it comes to our food?
Absolutely. Thank you. So there are two ways I like to think about it, and you can think about this in a plate. So first of all, you can have a healthy portion, let's say for weight maintenance and just for general health, is the rule of thirds. So of course, we're
Okay.
all aware of our macronutrients, so the foods that we need in larger quantities to support our health. So these are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And these are the foods that you can visibly portion out on a plate. And having the
Okay.
right balance of these foods helps with fullness so that you don't necessarily overeat, helps to manage your blood sugar cravings, as well as just to make sure that you have good variety on your plate. So when it comes to the rule of thirds, this would be for healthy weight maintenance. It would be to have, for example, a third of your plate as the carbohydrate. So this could be the jollof, a third of the plate as starchy vegetables. We still need to get in our micronutrients, and a lot of this comes through the plants that we eat.
Right.
So, have a good proportion of leafy greens, fruit, vegetables, whatever on your plate as well. Or this could be incorporated in a soup. And then also to make room for some protein. So making sure the other third is made up of your lean proteins, whether it's animal based or plant based, through legumes and the sorts. If you are trying to lose weight, that balance definitely shifts. Of course, it's different for everyone, but you could use, for example, the rule of halves and a quarter. So maybe having half of your plate as the vegetables, just to get, extra micronutrients, but fewer calories from starchy vegetables that are also rich in fiber, so it won't leave you feeling super hungry.
Mhm.
Having a third as the starchy carbohydrates, such as the rice, and then having the other third as protein. And of course, making sure that within that you have some healthy fats in there just to increase your satiety levels for your fullness. And also just to make sure it's like a delicious all around meal. So
Right.
yeah, definitely check out. I have a whole guide on this. It's within my nutrition guide, but it's the plate method, and I think it just makes it easy for everyone to just look at and adopt on a daily basis. And you don't necessarily even have to track your calories or macros when you do it this way. But portion control really is the key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how have you been able to kind of communicate this to the medical community? I believe you had a story about this, but we had something similar where a customer came in and literally broke down in tears. Like they
Oh,
did not know what to do because they were recently diagnosed with diabetes, right? And so I always tell people, when you're in the food business, you are also inadvertently in the health
yeah.
business. And so, we as a brand have also had to learn the nutritional value of the food. We can't just buy food and just sell it. Like, we also need to be able to explain to the consumer who is buying it what is going in their body. And so,
Yeah.
having nutritionists, having a nutrition coach as our friends really helps, because we do have a large part of our community
Yeah.
who are experiencing different chronic diseases that has changing their diet. And so what has been your experience in communicating with like the medical community to say, hey, like, if you're communicating to someone that they have this illness, don't tell them they have to stop eating everything that they know, because they might not eat anything at all. And she didn't eat anything for like 2 days because she was just
Wow.
diagnosed with this life-changing thing. And the doctors are telling her that she could no longer eat, she can't eat
Wow.
yams, she can't eat a goosey, she couldn't eat, right, like she couldn't eat anything,
Yeah.
and she didn't know what to do.
Wow. That's heartbreaking, and it's unfortunately a case that I've heard time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
Often people come to me at a point where maybe they've been recommended a certain diet plan by a dietitian, or they've gotten a
Mm-hmm.
diagnosis, and they want help to actually adapt their nutrition to sort of suit whatever lifestyle factor or illness or chronic illness that they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, unfortunately, a lot of health practitioners, and maybe not even, it's not necessarily even their fault, but they
Right.
recommend a lot of, maybe for example, dishes or recipes that are within the mainstream global realm, which a lot of the time doesn't really cater to our traditional palates or our cultural palates. And so for someone who is used to eating, let's say, your jollof or your fufu or your ugali, and you see
Mm-hmm.
this diet plan that's just boiled chicken and broccoli, it makes you sort of think in your mind, wow, are my foods that unhealthy? You sort of associate your cultural foods with being unhealthy, and you sort of feel helpless and
Yeah.
feel like you have to give them up in order to lead a healthy lifestyle. This, unfortunately, is a result of the lack of diversification of the medical field and the nutrition
Mm-hmm.
field in
Mm-hmm.
practice. And one thing I try to do is, and I've already started to do this by, for example, having talks at um, different prominent institutions, for example, with prominent universities and their medical
Right.
society, to get them to start to think about really diversifying the way they think about nutrition. It's also about having the physical representation of people of different cultures within the sector. For
Right.
so long, a lot of the standards have been developed by mainly white male Westerners,
Mm-hmm.
living in the US or the UK or, other Western countries. But we need to make room in the global space for other knowledge bearers as well as
Right.
practitioners who have that cultural knowledge. And without that inclusion, we will not be able to best serve those that need the help. And, as you know, a lot of people of African descent, a lot of Black people have, higher prevalence of certain diseases, whether it's heart disease, high cholesterol, so on. And so extra attention needs to be paid to our communities, and that needs to be done through extensive representation across the board, from the medical field
Yeah.
to personal trainers to nutritionists. We need that representation.
Absolutely. And I think that would, if we can democratize that to across, education and all of those things, and even to marketing, right? Because as a marketer, we have the power, and as a business, we have the power to influence what people buy, what they consume, what they think about things. And so that's really important. One thing we oftentimes do is our puff puff pop-ups. So we have pop-ups where we serve, puff puff, and people are like, oh, that's unhealthy, that's a donut. And it's just like, well, actually it's not. Donuts in America have about like 20 ingredients, and puff puff is simply just water, flour, sugar,
Yeah.
and a pinch of salt, right? And so I think even like breaking that down to people is like, wow, I didn't realize that the foods that I'm eating actually has so much far more ingredients than what is simply what you're giving me. And so I definitely think there needs to be work around that. What are some foods that you find have been considered unhealthy that actually are healthy in your line of work as far as African food?
Ah, let's start with, I guess, on one hand, the carbohydrates. So lots of the
Okay.
starches that we eat, such as, fufu, but a lot of these foods are made with, really nutritious ingredients. So cassava or plantain fufu,
Right.
loads of vitamins and minerals in there, from the B vitamins to even benefits from calcium or potassium, that have all really healthy properties and, helping to promote our optimum health. I didn't know plantain actually has vitamin C. I don't know if a lot of people actually know that, but it does.
Wow.
So I'd say a lot of the starches. On the other hand, one that I'm always trying to sort of bust myths around is palm oil.
I was about to ask you that. Oh my God. That's the number one question that we get.
It has to
Yes.
be palm oil, absolutely. And I think people need to distinguish between refined palm oil,
Right.
which is used in mass production,
Mm-hmm.
to produce, biscuits or lots of confectionery foods that we eat, from cakes, which a lot of the time in its refinement has been stripped of a lot of its nutritional
Mm-hmm.
properties. Um, and of course, there's, the environmental factor where, because a lot of, palm oil trees are cut down for mass production,
Mm-hmm.
people equate palm oil to causing environmental devastation, which is unfortunate on one hand, but it's not a true reflection of palm oil in
Right.
itself. So the red palm oil that we eat, the one that's visibly red in color, as opposed to, the clear
Right.
one that is largely refined, it's full of loads of vitamins and minerals and health benefits, from vitamin E, which has properties like linked to, skin health, or other factors that are and healthy fats that also contribute towards, heart health, even though it does contain some saturated fats, but it does also contain healthy fats to combat heart health. And like everything, it's all to do with the portion that you're eating. And so
Moderation. Yeah.
that palm oil is really, really demonized
Mm.
in the community. I try to show people that, look, it's not all palm oil. The red palm oil is actually the healthiest that you can eat. Yes, when it comes to the clear palm oil, a lot of the benefits are stripped off. So, yeah, don't look at your palm oil and think that it's unhealthy.
Right. I mean, we try to explain that to people. They're like, oh no, I can't use that. I have to use something else for my goosey. I'm like, well, first of all, does it taste the same? And even if it doesn't taste the same, it's
Yeah,
fine. It's just, we just want people to know that it's not the devil. It's not the end of the world. Nothing bad is going to happen to you because you ate palm oil. But we do, encourage people to think about their portions
yeah,
and to do what is best for them and recommend it to them. And so, as you know, and you inspired us to do this, we are going to be having resident nutrition who will help customers really think through and talk about some of the foods better, because one thing at Destiny is that we never try to assume the role of health professionals. We're not health professionals, but again, if you are in the food business, you are inadvertently in the health business. And so we want to make sure that our customers feel empowered to buy the food and know that they're eating for their health. Of course, we sell snacks, we sell sugars, we sell all those
yeah,
things, but we just want people to know that our food is not unhealthy, right?
yeah,
Like, that is just such a blanket, like you said, statement that we received. And that only hurts our sales, that hurts the sales of anybody who's trying to sell
yeah,
African food. And I noticed that in our local area, it's been really tough because people are becoming health conscious, right? People are learning these things from BBA and from other organizations, and people are definitely way more aware and trying to take care of their health, because I just read a study that more millennials this year than ever before have been diagnosed with a chronic illness or cancer. And so millennials are really we are starting to be a part of that of group of people who are dealing with these diseases, and I know that food is a big thing that will help us combat that. And we want people to know that Destiny is a partner in their health, and that we care about their health, and we don't want people to overconsume. And we always tell people we love food, but we love you more, right? And so that's
Yeah.
really, really, really big. Just a couple more questions before we go, so I know you have to run.
Sure. No
What
problem.
is something that you are planning to do in the next year around food and with Best Body Africa, and how can we help and support it?
So, number one, I guess, is community. So, really creating opportunities for our community to meet up in person or
Right.
virtually, because we have a lot of people on the African continent, in the UK, in the US, in different countries,
Mm-hmm.
that really want to connect through food. So, creating those moments where people can come together, on a personal level, share what they're eating with each other, creating that platform for people to do that. And the second is really an in-person community. So cooking classes, it's important that, we actually also try, our communities try a hand at, healthy cooking and healthy eating. So that's absolutely one thing that I'm looking forward to. And I guess, yeah, just more challenging the mainstream
Yeah.
through different formats, whether it's through the advocacy that we do. We also do some consulting to support other brands to diversify their offerings. And I
Right.
mean, my goal is really to see African foods on any and every menu possible, whether it's on nutrition apps or through a HelloFresh or, through other means. We need some representation
Yeah.
on the global platforms. So that's really my goal, really spreading the mission globally, for African foods to have a firmer seat at that global health and wellness table. Yeah.
And one last question. And before that last question, I also want to say we also, Destiny, anyone here who's a part of the Damn Fam, we also offer cooking classes because, as you said, I think preparation is a big part of this as well.
Yeah.
And I do think that when you have a chronic illness or you're looking to change your diet, I don't think you necessarily, when it comes to African food, have to give up African food. But I think preparation is something that is going to need to change. Your portions are going to need to change. Your mind, like everything needs to change, right? But I don't think you have to completely take it out of your diet, because again, the Western alternative is also not the best options either, right? And so I think that's another thing that we're combating here. It's like, all right, they tell us not to eat our foods, but their foods are also not the best
Yep.
option either.
Yep.
Well, my very last question is, when you go to an African market, what can you not leave without?
Plantain,
Oh
number
my
one.
God, you
That's
have
my favorite
plantains.
food. I feel like that's most people's number one go-to.
Yes.
I would also say suya. I really like suya spice. So for those of you that don't know, it's sort of a West African spice that is peanut based. It originated in Nigeria. So made from ground peanuts and spices together. And people use it to season meats. And I have a honey suya recipe that's kind of my signature that I share. And in last cookery class, people got to try the honey suya and they loved it. So if you like spice, I think I'd definitely recommend some suya spice. I would also say yam. I really do like West African yam. So the white yam, we eat it boiled a lot in my house or
Mm-hmm.
baked, like sort of a baked fries recipe.
Yeah.
And so whenever I can get my hand on like a good tuber of yam, I absolutely will. And I mean, I guess this is like a part B to the first one I said with plantain chips. My favorite.
You and
I
plantain. I
love
love it.
plantain
I love
chips.
seeing all your plantain recipes, honestly. I love sweet plantain. And I think that, a lot of people do too. So that's such a great someone said I love
Love that.
plantain. I know. I feel like that's
Yep.
everyone's favorite. Like, how can you not? But thank you so much for your time. We really, really appreciate you. Everyone from the Damn Fam, please follow Best Body Africa. They are our partner in your health. And so when you come to the store, when you're coming to the market, you also have a guide for what to shop at an African market as well. So again, please, if you are part of the Damn Fam, please make sure you follow Best Body Africa. We're really grateful to have you. Thank you so much for your time. And yes, until we meet again, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for the platform and continue the great work that you're doing for the community. I really appreciate it. And so anyone that's my part of my community follow the Damn Fam, follow Destiny Africa. If you're ever in the area, go to their store physically and check them out. They're doing really, really
Thank
great work.
you.
But yeah, so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
You too. All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.